Today, I'm going to reveal the truth about cholesterol and heart disease, two topics that you might think you know a lot about, but I'm actually going to give you a perspective as a scientist and a doctor about dimensions on these topics you might not actually fully understand or know enough about. And then I'm going to actually give you 5 foods that you're going to want to consider adding to your diet to help better manage your cholesterol. Are you ready? Let's dive in. All right. First food that can actually help with cholesterol, high cholesterol, oats. You know, oats like in oatmeal. But before I tell you more about oats, I got to tell you a little bit more about cholesterol. So the first thing, and this might surprise you, is that cholesterol is not the villain that it's made out to be. In fact, your body absolutely needs cholesterol in order to be healthy. Cholesterol is essential for producing hormones like estrogen, testosterone. It actually helps your body generate vitamin D when sunlight hits your skin. It actually helps to make the bile acids by your liver that gets stored in your gallbladder so you can digest the food that you eat. It makes up a lot of your brain as well. Your brain is packed with healthy cholesterol that you need in order to be able to have good mental health and brain function, good cognition. In fact, without cholesterol, many of your body's basic processes that you associate with health just wouldn't function properly, okay? In fact, cholesterol is so important that your liver produces about 75% of all the cholesterol in your body, regardless of what you eat. Let me repeat that. Regardless of what you eat, your body's going to make cholesterol. And if you don't get enough of it by eliminating it from your diet, your body's just going to make enough in order to get what it actually needs. Okay, so let me just say, now that you know cholesterol is important for health, how does cholesterol get its bad reputation? Well, here's the thing. The confusion is not about cholesterol as a whole. It's about how cholesterol moves around your body and the different types of cholesterol that there actually exist. And when I say moving cholesterol around your body, I'm talking about moving around your blood vessels and how it actually sticks or doesn't stick to some of the lining of your blood vessels. So here's how it works, basically. Cholesterol is carried around your blood in tiny little particles called lipoproteins. All right, these are tiny little proteins. They've got some fat attached to them. And the types of particles, these tiny lipoparticle proteins, there's 2 names for them. One of them is called LDL. You probably have seen the words LDL before. That stands for low density lipoprotein. All right. And the second type of protein is called HDL, H as in high density lipoprotein, HDL. All right. Now, LDL is known as the bad cholesterol because it can build up in your arteries if there's too much of it. And so LDL in excess is actually a problem for arteries and actually can set you up for heart disease. All right. So here's how we need to think about it. Imagine LDL is a delivery truck that brings cholesterol to your cells whenever they need it. All right. And in the amount that they need. But just like trucks on the road, if there's too many trucks carrying this cholesterol and they're not managed properly, the traffic flow isn't managed properly, guess what? They get stuck in a traffic jam, right? So this is like the highway on a holiday weekend. All these trucks carrying cholesterol get jammed up. They're not moving, all right? And in your body, when there's an LDL traffic jam, it leads up to cholesterol getting dumped out into your arteries. And that's actually where the blockages come from. And those blockages are called plaques. These plaques can narrow up your arteries. So you're not getting enough blood flow. The plaques are building up in the walls of the blood vessels. And this is actually the setup for a heart attack or stroke and other types of cardiovascular diseases, including peripheral limb ischemia, PAD, peripheral arterial disease, where you have narrowing in the blood vessels of your legs. And now your legs aren't even getting enough blood flow. And that actually can prevent you from actually walking the normal distance that you would walk before you get a terrible cramp. Okay, this is why you don't want too much elevated levels of LDL. You want some, you just don't want too much. And this idea of balance, some but not too much, the right amount but not too much, is really, really important to understand when it comes to your cholesterol levels. And when you get actually a blood test in your doctor's office, okay, one of the things they're going to be doing is running a lipid panel. And with this lipid panel, they're going to test for all kinds of cholesterol, your total cholesterol, and they're going to ask how much LDL is actually present in your blood. And this is the reason why. They want to see If there's too much, that would be causing a traffic jam, that would be dumping off that cholesterol in your arteries. Okay, so that's one thing you need to know about how cholesterol is being carried around. Now, there's another kind of particle, lipoprotein, that's called HDL. We talked about this earlier. HDL is high density lipoprotein. This is actually known as a good cholesterol. So if LDL is the bad cholesterol, you don't want to have jammed up in a traffic jam because it's dumping cholesterol into your arteries. HDL is the good cholesterol because it's the cleanup crew. All right. So HDL is like the road maintenance crew that sweeps up the excess cholesterol and brings it back to your liver where it's broken down and gotten rid of. Okay. LDL is normally transporting cholesterol. There's too much LDL. Cholesterol gets dumped off the truck into the arteries. Not good. HDL is the good cholesterol. You also want to have good cholesterol around all the time, but you want to have enough of the cleanup crew. So what your doctor looks for in a lipid test, a blood test, looking for your lipid panel, is to make sure your LDL is not too high, is low within normal range, and your HDL has to be high enough to be able to do the cleanup crew. It's a balance. You're trucking along the cholesterol. You want to keep that moving. You don't want too much of it or a traffic jam will start. And the HDL is a cleanup crew. You always want some of the cleanup crew because in case there's any cholesterol gets dumped off, you want that cleanup crew to get rid of it, okay? So LDL is a problem when you have too much of it. HDL, you always want enough of it. You want the higher the levels, the better, because it is protective to help clear off extra cholesterol so it doesn't accumulate in your arteries, all right? So again, when you go to the doctor and they do the physical exam and everything checks you out in every other way, and then they send you to get a blood test, right? So the phlebotomist comes in, puts a cuff or a rubber constrictor around your arm, and then draws the blood from your vein and sends it off to the lab. One of the things that your doctor should be looking for is the lipid panel. And when you get the results back, right, you should want to know, are my LDL levels, the trucks delivering cholesterol, are they within normal level? Do I have enough? And hopefully I don't have too much. And you want to check the HDL levels. Check it yourself, all right? Ask the doctors for the test results. You should look at it yourself so you know what's actually going on. Do you have enough HDL? Are your HDL levels high? You want that low LDL, high LDL, and that's what's going to be protective for you, all right? But so the key thing is that this is all about balance. You want to have just the right amount, not too much, and you want to have some protection as well. So that's why one of the things I want to clear up is that cholesterol isn't just about good guys and bad guys. There's a level of maintenance that you need for that cholesterol to be good for you, and you need that cleanup crew. The higher amount, the better, all right? Not simply good and evil. LDL cholesterol by itself isn't harmful. It's only dangerous when it is elevated. And there's one more thing. LDL cholesterol is more dangerous when it's oxidized, all right? So let me tell you what oxidized means. Oxidation is what happens when you actually take some nails, right? Some iron nails, and you stick them outside on your porch, right? It's humid, the rains. What happens? What do you think happens after a couple of days? You go back out to check on those nails, and guess what? They are rusty. They have become oxidized. And oxidation can also happen to your LDL cholesterol. So when your LDL cholesterol gets oxidized, think about it as rusting. Guess what? Those particles are more likely to stick to the walls of your arteries. You ever pick up a rusty nail that's been oxidized and run your finger along it? It actually is sticky a little bit because it's rough. The oxidation roughs up the surface of what used to be a smooth nail. So think about LDL that's oxidized in the same way. These sticky oxidized LDL particles, those are the dangerous ones because those are going to stick more likely to stick to the side of the artery. They're more likely to narrow the artery as a plaque that builds up, and that restricts blood flow. And even worse, by the way, is that when those plaques build up, little cracks can fall in them, right? Because these are not normal buildups, right? It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever did clay in your high school class. You're building clay. You want to pile up clay on top of each other. If the clay shouldn't be stacked on top of each other and you're just pouring layer after layer, if you try to move it around, guess what? It'll crack in the middle, right? And that's what can happen to these plaques. They're not supposed to be in your artery, they're pretty fragile, and eventually they can crack. And when you actually have a crack in the plaque, all right, and think about these arteries as they get narrow, and think about the plaque that cracks. All right, so here I've got a plaque here, sitting here, it's narrowing, narrowing, narrowing. Now if that plaque cracks, guess what happens? Boom. And now it cracks down, closes it off. It's kind of like the part of the cave ceiling caving in. And now you're actually blocking off all the blood flow. And now little blood cells will start to clot in there. You can completely jam and block off blood flow altogether. All right. That's a heart attack. And that's what you want to avoid. That could be a stroke. That's what you want to avoid as well. So the question is, how does LDL get oxidized? Because oxidized LDL is the dangerous stuff, right? Well, a lot of things can oxidize LDL in your blood. And these relate to the things that we talk about as doctors and as people who are thinking about wellness that you want to avoid. So here are some of the things that can start to oxidize, contribute to oxidizing your LDL cholesterol, making them sticky to your blood vessel wall. Stress, all right? Now, oxidative stress can happen naturally, like even emotional stress will cause oxidative stress in your bloodstream, but so can chemicals that you can breathe. Smoking can cause oxidized stress in your blood that then causes your LDL to be oxidized. So don't smoke or vape or smoke a cigarette or a cigar or a pipe. All those things can actually oxidize your LDL. Guess what? Lack of exercise also makes it easier for your LDL to oxidize. Exercise, has an antioxidant effect, a protective effect on your LDL. Remember, you want some of it, you just don't want a lot of it. And when you have it, which is healthy, you don't want it to oxidize or it'll tend to stick to the side of the wall. Exercise actually makes it a little bit slippery, less likely to stick to the wall, less oxidation. Environmental pollution. Now, I don't have to tell you that our environment is getting more and more contaminated and dirty, right? And here's an example of a situation that you probably have all encountered. You are filling your car with gasoline or petrol, depending on where you are. And I always ask people, are you standing upwind or downwind from the pump? And people look at me and they're like, Dr. Lee, what are you talking about? I don't know. I don't think about that. What I say is that if you can smell the fuel, the diesel or the gasoline, all right, if you can smell the fuel, you're standing downwind. And what that means is the wind's blowing those solvents into your lungs. Guess what that causes? Oxidative stress. Guess what that sets you up for? It sets you up for your LDL getting oxidized. That's why you really want to be in a clear environment as possible, all right? But lots of things that actually smell good, in fact, can cause this kind of oxidative stress in your blood. New car, that new car smell that we all love? Man, this car smells great. That is actually solvents coming off. New carpet, all right? Same deals. New furniture. People get excited when there's new furniture moving to their house. It smells, like their showroom shop. That is off-gassing. All those things cause oxidative stress. So it's better when you get a new carpet or a new rug to open your window, all right? And if you have an air purifier, take out some of those solvents because when you breathe them, get into your lungs and they can cause oxidative stress, all right? Ultraviolet radiation, something that's actually quite good for us until you're out in it too long. What I'm talking about? I'm talking about going out to the beach and getting sunburned. Or frankly, even going outside on a really bright summer day. If it's the summertime, it would be a good example, but you could be in a place that has sunny all year long. That's why you want to wear sunscreen and eat antioxidant foods. You want to protect your body from getting that oxidative stress, those small oxidative stress situation inside your blood that can actually oxidize your LDL. All right. Those are the reasons you want to actually take those lifestyle tips to protect yourself from oxidative stress. All right, let's put this whole picture together, right? So imagine your arteries are smooth, right? Like a well-maintained highway. An LDL, which carries cholesterol, it's one of the particles, low density lipoprotein, moving along these highways, delivering cholesterol to your cells. It's supposed to do that. Remember I told you cholesterol is important for your hormones, important for your brains, important actually for all of your cellular functions. As long as that traffic is moving smoothly because don't have too much LDL, you're going to be fine, all right? And when everything is working well, You also want to have enough HDL or a high density lipoprotein around, right? This is the cleanup crew, keeps their eye out for any spills, any cholesterol spills. Any extra HDL that spills cholesterol from the truck, it's going to actually take care of, mop it up, and get rid of that extra cholesterol. It's the road crew, all right? So LDL is the regular traffic. It's got to keep moving or you're going to have a traffic jam. And HDL is the road crew, all right?
Hey there. Have you heard of intermittent fasting? I'm sure you have. It's not what you eat, but it's about when you eat. And I've got a simple guide to help you get started with intermittent fasting. If you're looking for an easy way to boost your energy and improve your health, and maybe shed a few pounds along the way, this could be the perfect solution for you. In my guide, I'm going to show you how fasting helps your body burn fat and also repair itself. It's an easy thing that you can do effortlessly every single day. Plus, I'll give you tips on how to succeed with intermittent fasting. And I'll tell you the science behind why this works. Just click the link below to grab your free copy. Or scan the QR code on the screen right now. Now, let's get back to the video.
So, now, here's the other thing that can actually happen. If you have inflammation in your body, all right, and there's a lot of things that can cause inflammation. All the things that I said cause oxidative stress also cause inflammation. They're pro-inflammatory. Smoking's pro-inflammatory, not exercising is pro-inflammatory, breathing solvents is pro-inflammatory, eating fried foods is pro-inflammatory, eating ultra-processed foods ups the inflammation in your body as well. Guess what happens? When you actually have inflammation, whole body inflammation, all right? The inflammation is also in your blood vessels. Guess what? Those blood vessels, which I told you are like the highways in your body, that inflammation creates potholes, like little divots in the road that's supposed to be running smoothly. Oops, now you got potholes. And those weak spots, they're in the weak spots of the walls of your arteries. That's the highway. Now picture this. The LDL trucks that are delivering cholesterol start hitting those potholes. Got a lot of inflammation, you got a lot of potholes. It can be impossible not to hit those potholes, right? So instead of actually moving slowly, those potholes, boom, shake the LDL, dump some cholesterol, and now the cholesterol can actually stick in the pothole. That's sticking to the artery wall, all right? And if it's oxidized LDL, from oxidative stress, guess what? It really gets stuck into those potholes. Those potholes are in the walls lining your blood vessels, and that's when those plaques really, really form. So over time, the more and more LDL particles you have, and the more and more oxidative stress you have, the LDL becomes oxidized, really sticky, and now you add some inflammation to it. Now you've created those potholes. You got this sticky truck delivering cholesterol. You got a lot of it, and now it's hitting the potholes. It's dumping the cholesterol, and it's now sticking into the walls. You get the picture? This is what we're understanding of why cholesterol isn't simply a good guy or a bad guy. You need that LDL, but you want to make sure you don't get oxidized LDL, and you want to make sure you have lowered inflammation in your body. We're beginning to understand the things that we thought we knew years ago. Okay, now we're getting a better picture of exactly how this works, because you don't want to actually grow plaques on the highway, all right? Because the plaques on the highway, the LDL and the cholesterol landing on the highway, building up a big lump, all right? What that does is it causes more traffic jams. It can block blood flow in your arteries, make it harder and harder for your heart to pump blood to the rest of your body, all right? Now, speaking of inflammation, chronic inflammation is the real nasty force that sets you up for developing these plaques that can ultimately lead to cardiovascular disease. By the way, the other thing about these plaques is that plaques are building up on the walls of your artery. You've got 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels in your body. That's a huge number of blood vessels. In fact, it's so extensive. If you were to pull out all the blood vessels in your body and line them up from end to end, you'd form a thread that would wrap around the earth twice. Okay, that's a lot of blood vessels. All right, and you want to keep those blood vessels clear, and so blood can actually, and oxygen and nutrients can all be delivered smoothly through them. But when they actually start to narrow and narrow with plaque, guess what? The arteries also start to get stiffer and stiffer, right? Normal blood vessels can open up, they can stretch, they can shrink down. When you got plaque on them, they become hard hardened blood vessels, hardening of the blood vessels, which is probably what you may have heard your parents talk about at one point or a doctor tell you about them. Watch out for those hardening of the arteries. Guess what? That sets you up for high blood pressure because hardened blood vessels can't relax as easily. When you're relaxing blood vessels, your blood pressure comes down. When you've got hard blood vessels, it's harder for the heart to pump it out, so your blood pressure actually goes up, all right? And high blood pressure, what we call hypertension, is a setup for heart disease, heart failure, stroke. It's a silent killer, hypertension. And this is another reason why you want to keep your LDL cholesterols on the low side, and you want good protective cleanup crew cholesterol, HDL, to be around to be able to clean up that mess, all right? But this is also why it's so important to reduce inflammation. I'm going to come back to this in this video, but this is when you hear about, oh, anti-inflammatory this, anti-inflammatory that. I wanted to give you kind of like the lowdown when it comes to heart health, when it comes to cholesterol, why it's also important to lower inflammation. Now, doctors, you should just give statins to patients and say, go ahead and take this and let's measure you, in a couple of months. What I think is important to do is to realize that part of that control over LDL levels, and you might need a statin, but if you exercise, your LDL is going to come down and your HDL is going to go up. And if you avoid anti-inflammatory foods, it's actually going to be safer for you so that you're not causing oxidative stress. You're also not causing those plaques to build up as much. In fact, you can actually, with good lifestyle management, you can actually reverse plaques that have built up. That's a very important thing my colleague, Dr. Dean Ornish, worked on many years ago, and it's held out to be true. All right, so you can reverse atherosclerotic or narrowing of the arteries by diet and lifestyle changes. You got to be pretty intensive about it, but it actually works, which just shows you that even if you are starting to think about your heart or heart health, even if you have blockages, never too late to try to kind of move the plaques backwards. So move the clock backwards and unblock the arteries. Okay, now that you understand this, now it's the time to talk about some foods, right? Okay, so I told you I was going to tell you about 5 foods. I told you oats already, so you already know the first one, but I want to explain things a little bit more to you. Guess what? Now that you understand how this LDL, the truck that contains cholesterol, brings cholesterol to your cells, and how HDL works, guess what? Oats can lower LDL cholesterol, all right, prevent the traffic jam, and oats can increase the HDL cholesterol, the cleanup crew. So eating oats like oatmeal actually can help you rebalance your blood lipids the way you want them to actually go. And there's an added benefit. You know what that is? Oats contain bioactives, natural chemicals that are found in plants, because oats are plant-based grain. Guess what? Oats contain something called avenanthromide. Don't worry about memorizing the complicated Latin words. Just know that people like me know what they are. Avenanthromide, AVE, and beta-D-glucan. These 2 bioactives found in oats, you know what they do? They lower inflammation. So oats tackles all these problems that we talked about. If your LDL is high, it can help to lower LDL. If your HDL is low, it can help to raise it. If your blood lipids are fine, oats can actually help you keep things moving in the right direction, so you can actually maintain your lipid health, all right? And if you got inflammation, guess what? Eating oats can lower inflammation. Remember, inflammation causes those potholes on a highway, so you can actually protect yourself against getting those potholes in a highway. Now, the beta-glucan, by the way, is which is anti-inflammatory. I've done research on this myself. All right, it's actually good for wound healing as well. So oats are a kind of a healing food. It's quite remarkable how it actually works. And beta-D-glucan, you know what it does when you swallow it and goes through your digestive system, right? Your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestines, your large intestines. As it's going all the way down there, the beta-D-glucan, which is a soluble fiber, acts like a sponge. And this sponge soaks up extra cholesterol before it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. So it actually helps to absorb cholesterol that's inside the tube of your digestive system, and that can actually help to lower cholesterol levels. In fact, clinical studies have shown that it can lower bad LDL cholesterol by about 10% by eating oats on a regular basis. So beta-D-glucan pulls out cholesterol out of your bloodstream, and it just flushes it right down your guts. All right. So lowers total cholesterol in your blood, which also lowers LDL cholesterol like a sponge. Now, the other thing that beta-D-glucan does is it is powerfully anti-inflammatory. And so it actually lowers inflammation inside your gut, but it does another thing for your gut. Beta-glucan, as a soluble fiber, feeds your gut microbiome. This is the healthy bacteria you probably heard everyone talking about. Healthy gut microbiome. Your gut microbiome is 39 trillion bacteria that are naturally found inside our body. These are healthy bacteria. And you know where they live? They live in lower gut. So let's walk through the gut. You got your mouth is where it starts, then your esophagus. All right, it's food going down into your stomach, the third part of your gut. The fourth part of your gut is your small intestines. The fifth part of your gut is your large intestines, or the colon. And there's a part of the colon in the large intestines called the cecum, C-E-C-U-M. It's like a bag around your colon. It's at the sort of the lower part of your colon before it starts going up, which then makes a loop around like an upside down U. In the cecum is where most of your gut bacteria are found. And guess what? When the beta-glucan gets down there, it feeds your gut bacteria. Your gut bacteria feeds on beta-glucan, soluble fiber like that, and a well-fed gut bacteria with fiber is actually a healthy colony of gut bacteria, a healthy ecosystem. When your ecosystem is well-fed and happy, guess what they do? They make metabolites. And these are basically your gut bacteria digesting the beta-glucans, their food, and they're spitting out their own metabolites, right? And there's 3 of them. They're called short-chain fatty acids, or SCAFAs, SC, short-chain fatty acids, FA, SCAFAs. There's propionate, there's butyrate, there's acetate. These made by your bacteria, from the food they're eating, from the beta-glucan and the soluble fiber. It dissipates in your bloodstream, goes back into your bloodstream. And you know what these short-chain fatty acids do as an extra bonus? Because your gut bacteria is well-fed and happy from the soluble fiber coming from oats, these short-chain fatty acids lower inflammation, protects you against those potholes even more. All right. So the beta-glucan itself is anti-inflammatory, but the gut bacteria they feed then release more anti-inflammatory substances to be able to even further lower inflammation in your body. So if you ever needed an excuse to actually eat oatmeal, or if you actually were wondering what you should be eating for breakfast, for example, I'd strongly consider you can eat oatmeal, whether or not you have blood lipid problems or not. All right. And by the way, people who are really minding foods that actually lower blood cholesterol, sometimes they can come off their statins if they've been on it already. Now, how do we know that beta-glucan from oats can actually lower inflammation? Well, because we can measure this in the blood using a test for C-reactive protein. C is in Charlie, reactive protein. This is actually a circulating marker for inflammation. And it turns out that beta-glucan, when you consume it, actually lowers C-reactive protein. It should be normally really, really low. If you got inflammation, and most of us are walking around inflamed because life is very inflammatory these days, and most of us grew up eating ultra-processed foods and exposed to all these environments. Listen, oats with beta-glucan actually lowers that inflammation, and it lowers C-reactive protein. So think about that the next time you're trying to decide what to have for breakfast. In fact, I had breakfast this morning with oats. I actually, get sort of whole oats, nothing but oats, just plain oats. I don't do anything with it. All right. And I actually cook them. So I want to actually tell you a little bit about what I do with my own oats. Now, one little thing, you want to buy whole oats, nothing but the oats. All right. And the reason you want to do this and not buy the kind that's already prepackaged with sugars and flavorings and little bits of fruit in there, all those prepackaged convenient instant oats, they contain a lot of additives. Just go ahead and look at the ingredient label. Look at all those chemicals that you can't pronounce. All right. So those would actually cause inflammation. They wouldn't, the oats might try to fight inflammation, but they're causing inflammation. So stay away from all those additives, all right? Any of these pre-flavored packets. I grew up eating that kind of stuff. My parents would say, oh, eat some oatmeal in the morning. And they would buy those convenient packs and we pour hot water in it. And man, you get those little bits of apples or fruits. Not good for you, all right? Full of chemical additives. In fact, some of those additives can even damage your gut microbiome. So really, having pre-made oatmeal, like the ultra-processed kind, the oats, one step forward in the right direction. All those other things, added sugar, ultra additives, preservatives, 2 steps back, all right? And you're going to also increase inflammation in your body, which is just not what you want to do. You don't want more potholes in your arteries, all right? So if you want oats with something sweet in it, what I suggest is you take some seasonal ripe fruit, all right? If it's the summer, get some organic strawberries and wash them and cut them up. If you can't find fresh organic strawberries or they're too pricey, you know what? Go for the frozen ones. The frozen ones, you thaw them up. If they're flash frozen, they're actually going to be fine as well. Blueberries, the same deal. Frozen blueberries, when they're out of season. Fresh blueberries, when you can actually get them, that's really great. Just top your oatmeal with that. If you want to actually crush up some nuts, tree nuts, pistachios or almonds or something like that, another little nice topping. And if the fruit isn't sweet enough for you, okay, and you want to really get a little hit of sweetness, be careful not to add sugar, all right, like plain sugar. But I would suggest maybe adding a little drizzle of honey, like they do in the Mediterranean for yogurt, or you could actually add a little bit of maple syrup, all right, just a little splash of it in order to give it sweetness. Keep it simple and keep it natural. All right, so remember I told you to get whole oats. Now, steel cut oats can take a little longer to cook, but sometimes they're already rolled and pre-steamed, so they can cook pretty quickly. So I'll just tell you what a recipe is if you get just a container of steel cut oats. All right, get 1 cup of the steel cut oats and get a stainless steel pot. All right, add about 3 cups of water, or if you want to put some almond milk, that's fine. I like no salt, but some people like to put a pinch of salt in there. And first, boil the water. If you a little salt into the water, will boil quicker. And then put the oats in there. Take a spoon and stir it up once it's boiling. You only need to cook it for maybe 5 or 7 minutes if it's been pre-steamed. So it's not instant, but it's pretty quick. Cook it up. You'll see it thicken really, really quickly. Turn off the heat and let it sit for another minute. So you're talking about less than 10 minutes. Whip up a really healthy oats breakfast, all right? And then before all the water gets absorbed and it's still kind of liquidy, pour it into a bowl, all right? And that's where I take the fruit, cut it up, just put it right on top. And it is an absolutely delicious way. The fresh berries, what I actually had the other day, I had strawberries. You can add strawberries or blueberries. Again, the other benefit of these fresh seasonal ripe fruit like berries, blueberries contain anthocyanins, a natural bioactive that's, guess what? Anti-inflammatory. Strawberries contain what? A natural bioactive called ellagic acid. Guess what that is? Anti-inflammatory. And strawberries and blueberries, but especially strawberries, they also add a little extra dietary fiber, good for the gut microbiome. So you see, by building a breakfast like this, which takes less than 10 minutes, all right, takes advantage of fresh seasonal foods, whole foods, get some sweetness to oats, which is also plant-based, all right? And now you've got yourself a plant-based breakfast that lowers your cholesterol, lowers inflammation, protects your blood vessels, lowers the harmful LDL, so you don't wind up getting too many trucks piling up for that traffic jam, spill out the cholesterol, and it also raises your beneficial HDL. That's why I wanted to tell you the story of how all this works together, because now you understand why oatmeal with fruit actually is so beneficial. All right, now here's a little pro tip for you. If you're a busy person like me, all right, I don't really have a lot of time to cook breakfast in the morning, you can make a big batch of oatmeal, all right, several days worth, keep it in the fridge, all right, and in the morning you just take a ladle, spoon it out, add a little more water, add a little more almond milk, heat it up, and now you're ready to rock and roll, all right? So that's a quick way, is like take the time to prepare it, but honestly, I just told you, you can do basically in less than 10 minutes every single day. So you can just reheating it if you want, or just do it from scratch. All right, ready for food number 2 for helping your lipid control? Guess what? Another breakfast food, avocados. I like avocados. You're probably already eating them. Avocados have been in recent years pretty trendy, but I want to talk about what's in an avocado because that's really important. First, avocados have a healthy fat. These are called monounsaturated fatty acids, or MUFAs, MUFAs, MUFAs. They're heart healthy, all right? And one of the heart healthy MUFAs is called oleic acid. Same thing that's found in extra virgin olive oil, oleic acid, all right? And guess what oleic acid can do? It's a MUFA, found in avocados. Oleic acid can lower harmful LDL cholesterol, all right? Good. Takes down that harmful thing, keeps the traffic flowing so you don't spill off cholesterol to build up in the walls of the artery. But guess what? Oleic acid also does something really beneficial. It raises your good HDL cholesterol. Again, moving things in the right direction. Less LDL, more HDL. Avocado can do that. It's got monounsaturated fatty acids, oleic acid being one of them. All right. Now, there was a myth floating around at one point that avocados are not good to eat, not healthy to eat because of its fat content. I hope I've cleared that up for you. It's got good, healthy fat. Just the opposite. This kind of fat, the MUFAs, like oleic acid, actually is beneficial. In fact, studies have shown in people who regularly consume avocados that they can actually reduce their LDL cholesterol by up to 22%. And they can raise their beneficial HDL cholesterol by about 11%. All right? Everything moving in the same direction. This is not a statin. This is an avocado. All right. And in fact, if you actually change your diet and your lifestyle in the right direction, because exercise can also do this, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. In other words, exercise can lower harmful LDL cholesterol, increase beneficial HDL cholesterol. You might be able to come off your statins. So for those people who are really worried, I got to take this for my whole life. You know what? If you actually add the right diet and the right lifestyle, you might be able to come down or come off of your statins, particularly if you're somebody who's had side effects from having statins as well, like muscle cramps and other things that we as doctors worry about. All right. Now, here are some easy ways that I like to use avocado. You can slice an avocado in half, take out the seed, and you can just spread that light green avocado on a piece of toasted sourdough bread. And add a tiny pinch of sea salt, not too much. All right. Remember, adding salt to food is a step towards developing high blood pressure, but a little bit of salt actually tastes great. All right, a little salt on spread avocado is a good thing. All right, and then if you want to really kind of like jack up the impact, all right, add a little bit of crushed chili pepper if you like spicy food. Little zing for breakfast actually is good. You know why I'm telling you about red chili peppers? Because red chili peppers also help you burn off excess body fat. What's in a chili pepper? It's got something called capsaicin. And on our tongue, we've got these little receptors, radar dishes for capsaicin. All right, they're receptors for the capsaicin. And when you activate those receptors, they're called TRPV1 receptors, TRPV1. When you eat a chili pepper, activate that receptor. It's like pushing an elevator button. It sends a signal, and that signal goes from your tongue right to your brain, and it tells your brain to release neurotransmitters, all right, like noradrenaline. And those neurotransmitters go down the side of your neck, and they activate your good fat, your healthy brown fat that then undergoes thermogenesis, and that process starts to draw down on your excess body fat and burns it right down. So in other words, I don't want to go into the fat too much right now, but I can tell you, add a little chili pepper to your avocado toast and your spread toast, all right? If you like the zing, it'll actually send a message to your brain that sends a signal down to help you metabolically get healthier and helps to burn away extra body fat as well, all right? That's all from an avocado, which by itself, all right, contains healthy fats, monounsaturated fatty acids like oleic acid. And remember, lowers LDL, harmful cholesterol, raises good protective cholesterol, HDL. So total cholesterol is important, but it's the ratio of LDL to HDL That's actually what's really, really important. All right. Now, I occasionally do this. I don't do it very often, but you can add avocado into a smoothie. You want to get the smoothie a little bit of a creamier texture. No more need to add dairy. All right. By the way, you can also substitute if you're making a sandwich or a wrap. You can use avocado, the fatty avocado spread instead of butter. Right. Some people like to add butter. I use avocado instead. You can get some kind of a creamy texture, slightly fatty texture, but it's good, healthy fat, not saturated fat. All right. Now, obviously, you can also, if you want to get a little bit more involved, you can make guacamole. Just look online for a recipe on how to do it. Watch a video. Someone can show you how to do it. If you've ever gone to one of these like traditional restaurants where like Mexican restaurant where they will make the guacamole tableside, they get a wooden bowl. They take the avocados, they take out the seed, and they just start cutting it up and mixing it all together right in front of your eyes with lime and cilantro and some tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. So you can do that yourself. And now you've got a little dip you can actually use, a healthy dip that you can actually use as well. All right. Now, here's another benefit of avocado, why I'm bringing this up. Avocado looks smooth and creamy, right? It is smooth and creamy, but it's a great source of dietary fiber, soluble fibers, packed with fiber, in fact. All right. So avocado is great for gut health, even though you're not tasting any stringy fibers. And that fiber, remember, when you eat that fiber, it helps your gut microbiome, the healthy bacteria in your gut. Remember, I told you it's in the colon and the cecum in your large intestines. And that when you actually feed that gut microbiome with the dietary fiber, it produces those short-chain fatty acids that lower inflammation, less potholes in your highway. And guess what your gut microbiome also does? It lowers your blood lipids all by itself. So in addition to the MUFAs, the oleic acid doing that, your gut microbiome is going to actually help your gut microbiome work even harder to get your blood lipids, your LDL and HDL, in the right direction. So you're going to wind up actually eating something that's very, very heart healthy whenever you have avocado. All right. So, and by the way, good gut health also improves your metabolism. It burns down harmful extra body fat. You'll have more energy. It can even help you lose weight as well. So helps you stay away, by the way, from metabolic syndrome, which is a setup for type 2 diabetes. All these benefits, once you understand some of the foods that can actually help your lipids, lower inflammation in your body, and also help your overall metabolism. Ready for food number 3? Food number 3 are fatty fish. Now, it's been well researched that oily fish containing healthy omega-3 fatty acids from the sea, all right, they come from plankton. All right, the small fish eat them, the big fish eat the smaller fish, the bigger fish eat those smaller fish, and the really big fish eat that fish. All right, so those fish like salmon and mackerel and anchovies, sardines, that goes from small to large. Their flesh is rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Again, those omega-3s originally came from plankton. That's originally the plant-based food from the sea. It's the fish that ate them. They accumulated in their flesh. And we used to think it was only the super oily fish like the mackerel or the salmon or tuna. Tuna might have mercury, so you got to be careful about that. But salmon is a good choice. All right, but guess what? Other fish also have healthy omega-3s, the ones that are not so oily. Cod, for example, it's a nice mild white fish, flaky white fish. Halibut, another white mild fish. Hake, another mild white fish. Mediterranean sea bass. Look, if you don't like salmon, you probably are going to like Mediterranean sea bass. It's part of the Mediterranean cuisine. Absolutely delicious. Also a good source of omega-3 fatty acids. So it's not just the oily fish that we normally think about. It's also some of these white, mild, delicious tasting fish that you can find in the healthy Mediterranean diet as well. All of them packed with omega-3 fatty acids. And omega-3s, guess what? They lower blood lipids. They also lower your LDL, improve your healthful HDL. They also improve the health of your blood vessels by protecting the lining. They actually help to condition the lining of your blood vessels. That's called the endothelial lining. That's where the potholes can occur. Helps to protect them so that they don't actually form clots. And omega-3s can prevent plaques from forming as well. And another benefit, omega-3s from seafood can lower inflammation. Lower inflammation, lower potholes, lower oxidative stress, all those good things that correlate back to the cholesterol and heart health, right? Oh, by the way, the other thing omega-3s can do is they can reduce triglycerides as well. And triglycerides are another lipid in your body. So net, taken all together, all right, seafood with omega-3 fatty acids can improve the function of your blood vessels, protect your heart against cardiovascular disease, and it's overall really a delicious way to actually eat heart healthy. Now, I mentioned triglycerides, and I want to talk a little bit more about triglycerides, because if you take a look at your in your portal, your medical portal, at the blood lipids, you'll actually see LDL, you'll see total cholesterol. That's how much is floating around your blood. Remember, I told you, though, the total cholesterol is less important, that number, than how much LDL is there and how much HDL. All right. Remember, you want more HDL and less LDL, and you'll see the normal ranges in the test results. But there's one more number that comes out of your blood lipid panel, and that's triglycerides. And I mentioned triglycerides because remember I told you that omega-3s in seafood can lower your triglyceride levels. So what's a triglyceride? Well, triglycerides are a kind of fat that can build up on the walls of your blood vessels. In fact, that they actually contribute to clogged blood vessels, and they increase your risk for a heart attack and stroke. Omega-3s that are found in fish help to reduce triglyceride levels and keep your blood vessels from clogging. All right. In fact, a landmark study that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine looked at more than 11,000 people and looked at those who were eating fatty fish with omega-3s at least twice a week, and they found that they had a significantly lower risk of heart attack and stroke for the reasons I just mentioned. All right. So if you like seafood, you're in luck. The omega-3s do a lot of heavy lifting for your blood lipids, for your vascular health, health of your blood vessels, lowering inflammation in your whole body, which actually lowers your risk for cancer as well. So that's all beneficial. And if you read my book, Eat to Beat Your Diet, by the way, which is right here, Eat to Beat Your Diet, you'll know that I write a lot. There's a whole chapter in here, I think it's chapter 8, about all kinds of delicious seafoods that you can actually eat with healthy omega-3s. I give you the dose of the seafoods as well. Good for metabolism, helps you burn down harmful body fat. And in fact, studies have shown that people who eat 2 to 3 servings of seafood over the course of their life, those people tend to live longer. So longevity studies have actually found that people who regularly eat seafood a few times a week actually do live longer. All right. Now, if you haven't read my book, Eat to Beat Your Diet, I'll link to it in a description below this video, and you can check out this so you can figure out how much seafood you should actually eat. But I'm going to tell you anyway, do check out my book because there's lots of tables and charts of all these kinds of things you can find for seafood, both frozen as well as in the fresh seafood market. But here's the deal. How much fish should you eat? In general, most of the clinical studies show that eating fish twice a week can actually be helpful, heart healthy for you. Now, how much should you eat? Because I'm big onto defining the dose of foods. Well, each time you eat fish, you should eat about the size, a piece of fish about the size of a deck of playing cards. About yay thick, about yay big. Not very big at all. All right, you don't need to eat a lot to get a lot of benefit. That's how you get to a healthier state. All right.
Hey there. Are you ready to use food to improve your health? I do cover a lot in my YouTube videos, but there's only so much time to dive deep into how to use food as medicine. That's why I created my Eat to Beat Disease course. In my course, I walk you through how to use everyday foods that you can find in your grocery store to boost your body's health defenses. This is all based on my research, and everything is rooted in science. And I made it super easy to follow with practical everyday tips. Whether you're trying to prevent disease or just want to optimize your health for longevity, my Eat to Beat Disease course gives you all the tools to make it real and to help you get lasting changes that will help you live longer and live better. To learn more, click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen. I can't wait to get started together in my course. Now, back to the video.
Now, some people will say, you know what, I can't find seafood. All right. I don't have fresh seafood. I live too inland. My grocery store doesn't carry fresh seafood. That's okay. If your grocery store has a frozen section, I'm willing to bet you they will actually have frozen fish as well, frozen seafood. And guess what? A lot of people don't know this, but frozen seafood also contains a healthy omega-3s. And in fact, in some cases, it's a little fresher than the fresh seafood that you see on ice in the seafood cabinet. You know why? Because frozen seafood is caught on the boat, it's thrown into a freezer and flash frozen. It's caught pretty much frozen right off after it gets out of the sea. It doesn't get any fresher than that, and it locks in those omega-3s. All right, that's what you need to know about it. If you don't live on the coast, that's okay. Look for the frozen section and look for the halibuts or the hakes or the cods. You'll find it. Anybody with access to a grocery store in the frozen section, you can find it. I like to eat seafood super simply, all right? And it goes without saying, don't fry your seafood. It tastes good, all right? I got to admit, crispy seafood tastes really good. Like, who doesn't like fish and chips? A little bit of vinegar, fried cod or whatever you can actually find. But I'll tell you, it's not good. And the reason is frying the seafood actually causes acrylamides to form. These are polymers that are carcinogens. They're cancer causing. And they also cause inflammation. So that's not what you want for heart health, all right? So even though the fish inside might actually contain heart healthy omega-3s, once you fry it, you've actually taken 2 steps back from that 1 step forward. So you don't want to do that, all right? Okay, so what's a good way to have seafood? I like to do it really simple, all right? If you're having salmon, all right, here's the thing that you want to know about salmon. A lot of people don't like to eat the skin of salmon, all right? I don't blame you. Like a slimy, liquidy, thin skin of salmon, not good. However, you got to realize a lot of omega-3 in a salmon is found in the skin. So what you do is you crisp up the skin, make it crispy and delicious. Take a pan, add extra virgin olive oil, heat it up, all right? Put the salmon skin down and let it sit there, all right, until the skin actually crisps up and form a layer. Skin's pretty fatty with good omega-3 fats. So you let that crisp up, then turn it once, all right, then cook the other side. Now you're going to actually get more out of those omega-3s because you're eating the skin as well, all right? So in my book, Eat to Beat Your Diet, there's a lot of other fish and even shellfish as well that contain omega-3s, and I tell you about all of them, all right? Mediterranean sea bass, I mentioned. This is the staple for people who live in the Mediterranean, and it is delicious. A lot of different ways to cook sea bass. It's a mild, white, flaky fish. Whatever you do, consider you doing it Mediterranean style, which is actually cooking it with healthy omega-3 fatty acids, a much better choice than vegetable oils or seed oils, all right? And a good, healthy way to cook it is to pan-sear it, all right, with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, add some oregano on it, squeeze some lemon on it. The oregano has rosmarinic acid. Guess what? Anti-inflammatory, all right? Prevents those potholes from forming, and if you squeeze some lemon on it, you actually get the citric acid. Citric acid is vitamin C. It's anti-inflammatory, and by the way, it makes the Mediterranean sea bass taste amazing. You can grill it as well. I prefer not to grill, although grilled fish tastes great. Like just having the smoke add some carcinogens to it, so that's not a way that I suggest that you regularly eat Mediterranean sea bass or any kind of fish. All right, once in a while is fine, not on a regular basis. All right, so if you're going to have fish, make sure it's got omega-3 fatty acids, and you can find that in my book. Find out which fish, but also prepare it in a healthy way. Don't fry it. You can sear it. You pan sear it. You can bake it. You can grill it, but just be careful that you don't do that regularly. That's really the best way to actually eat those healthy omega-3 fatty acids. And you know what? Some people are uncomfortable with seafood. They're like, you know what? I hear you, Dr. Lee. I would like to try it. I just don't know what I would do with fish. I've never cooked fish before. Guess what? You want to find a recipe, go to Google, type in the kind of fish that you're cooking, whether it's salmon or Mediterranean sea bass or halibut, because you actually cook them all in slightly different ways. You want to steam a fish, type in steaming and type in halibut, then type in recipe and then hit video. And watch somebody teach you who really knows what they're doing, how to do it in a super simple way. And then you can just repeat that. You can just mimic that in your own kitchen. That's actually what I wanted to be able to share with you. Food number 4 that's heart healthy are nuts, tree nuts, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, pecans, macadamias. Tree nuts also have MUFAs, monounsaturated fatty acids, all right? Very, very healthy, like avocado, all right? And guess what? Tree nuts also have dietary fiber, all right? The dietary fiber is good for your gut microbiome for all those reasons we talked about already. Anti-inflammatory, helps your metabolism, supports heart health, and tree nuts lower harmful LDL cholesterol. So if you get too much of it, it'll kind of take it down. And tree nuts are also loaded with vitamin E, E as in Edward. And guess what vitamin E is? It's a potent antioxidant, protects you and your LDL against oxidative stress. Another reason to actually have tree nuts. Remember, when you oxidize LDL, it makes it sticky, likely to clog. You want to actually lower that oxidative stress. Vitamin E is a good way. Tree nuts contain good vitamin E. All right. And by the way, how much do you need to eat? Back to the dose. There's a clinical study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology that just showed that eating a handful of nuts 5 times a week reduced the risk of heart disease by about 14%. All right. Super delicious, easy way to have a snack and protect your heart at the same time. All right. What do nuts do? They lower the bad LDL cholesterol so you don't have a traffic jam and spill the cholesterol on the highway. All right, and they raise your good cholesterol, the cleanup crew to take away anything that might spill, protects your heart, and tree nuts are also anti-inflammatory, also good for gut health, which is also anti-inflammatory. All this protects you against cardiovascular disease. Now, if you're going to eat nuts, here's a key thing. I'm going to tell you this. Be very careful you don't buy those pre-packaged, pre-seasoned nuts. Even though they look really good, you get the ranch flavored nuts or the barbecue flavored tree nuts. I know if you've been to an airport and you walk by the newsstand and you take a look at all those snacks on the wall, a lot of them are flavored and they look so tempting to get. But before you do that, and I've made a video about this before on Instagram, please check that ingredient label to make sure you are actually comfortable with all those additives and chemicals, artificial coloring, artificial flavoring, artificial preservatives. You probably won't want to eat all of those as a snack. Instead, buy plain tree nuts. And in fact, if you're going to travel, listen, next time at the grocery store, just buy some bulk nuts and you can actually make your own trail mix at home. All right, that's actually easy to do. By the way, you can add nuts, you can crush them up, tree nuts to a salad or to your oatmeal, or one of my favorites is to add them to yogurt along with some fresh seasonal fruit. All that super heart healthy for the reasons that we talked about. Now, if you're going to make your own trail mix, some people like to salt it. You just take the tree nuts, you put a little bit of olive oil if you want into a cast iron skillet. It's a great way to do it, or no oil, and you just heat it up. All right, and move the pan around so the nuts are getting toasted. All right, or you can put them in a toaster oven. Except that I like to actually make sure the nuts are moving around and turning a little bit so they're evenly toasted. And you want to put a little salt on it. Just be careful about the amount of salt you use. All right. So again, tree nuts, get them for yourself. In bulk, you can make your own trail mix. Tree nuts also reduce calories. You know why? Because nuts, when you eat tree nuts, they're satiating. They actually lower your appetite. So on the next meal that you're eating, you're going to feel a little bit more full and you're going to eat a little bit less. All right. Less food eaten equals fewer calories. Fewer calories, better for your metabolism, lowers inflammation as well. All right. Less chance of developing type 2 diabetes, and also is protective against heart disease. In fact, people who eat nuts regularly generally have a lower body weight, less risk of obesity and diabetes. All right. So try adding nuts into your dietary plan for heart health. And by the way, they're packed with micro and macronutrients, like we talked about. All right, last food, extra virgin olive oil. Now, you've probably seen me with some videos I've done on social media with olive oil. I don't say just regular olive oil. I say extra virgin olive oil. Sometimes we call it EVOO or EVO. Like liquid gold to your heart is what I call it. EVO, extra virgin olive oil, is one of the major components of the healthy Mediterranean diet. It's been that way for centuries. The heart healthiness has been proven by extensive clinical studies. All right. And if anybody who says olive oil isn't healthy, I've seen a few people on Instagram talk about, oh, olive oil is dangerous, blah, 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 blah. Totally not true. Take it from me, Dr. Lee. I'm a scientist and a physician, and I've studied olive oil. It is beneficial for your health. Those other guys have it wrong. Like any fat, you don't want to have too much of it. Too much of fat's not good for you, but in reasonable, moderate amounts for cooking, like they do in the Mediterranean, it is indeed healthy for you. Here are some of the major benefits. Olive oil contains monounsaturated fatty acids like oleic acid. We talked about MUFAs already, like avocado, all right? And they've been shown to reduce harmful LDL cholesterol, all right? They increase beneficial HDL cholesterol. Olive oils are packed with polyphenols. Which ones? Hydroxytyrosol, oleocanthal. Again, don't worry about memorizing these things. Just trust me. People like me who do research, we got to memorize it. You don't. All you have to do is actually know extra virgin olive oil is good for you. All right, these polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil, they actually give the olive oil the little bit of a pepperiness that you taste. It's the good flavor, the good stuff. Guess what these polyphenols are? They're anti-inflammatory. They lower the risk of creating those potholes in your blood vessels. They protect your blood vessels as well, all right? And extra virgin olive oil helps you become metabolically healthier by burning down harmful excess body fat. All right, incorporating extra virgin olive oil, EVO, in your diet every day is super easy. I do it every single day. You can use it as your primary form of cooking oil. For example, you're making scrambled eggs or an omelet. Just use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Better choice than butter or vegetable oil or seed oil. Use extra virgin olive oil. Actually, it's going to make your food taste a little bit better because the polyphenols from the oil get into your food. So if you're cooking an egg, which is healthy, good quality egg is very healthy for you. It's good for your eyesight. All right, it's got bioactives in it. You scramble some eggs with olive oil. Now you get even more polyphenols from the oil into the scrambled eggs. All right. Or another way to use olive oil is how the people in the Mediterranean do it, like in Italy. Pour some high quality extra virgin olive oil into a small dish and mop it up with some probiotic sourdough bread. Absolutely tasty. Great way to actually get that flavor of olive oil in some bread. All right. Obviously, you got to be eating some carbs, and don't eat too many carbs. It's not good for your metabolism. All right. But in moderation, a perfectly good way to actually consume some extra virgin olive oil. All right. Now, one of the things that you want to do when you get extra virgin olive oil, you want to buy monovarietal olive oil. That's oils made with one variety of olives. You know why that you should do that? Because then the olive oil manufacturer can't cheat you. If they're mixing olive oils together, they can mix really cheap olive oil together, and you might not wind up actually getting a high quality product. In fact, you'll get a low quality product. The other thing is sometimes manufacturers will actually mix other cheaper oils into more expensive extra virgin olive oil. Still called extra virgin, that's what they put in the label, but it's been cut, diluted with cheap other oils, maybe even seed oils. You don't want that at all. And if they're trying to hoodwink you, they won't even announce that. But if you get monovarietal olives, you can actually know that they're only made from one variety of olives. Those types of things, you should also look for the date the olive was picked. All right, that's important as well. It's like wine, it's got the vintage date on it, and where it was bottled. That's important. Now, there's another reason to get monovarietals. If you want to get the highest levels of polyphenols, there are three varieties of olives that have the highest levels of polyphenol. You might have heard me talk about this before, but let's talk about this in the context of heart-healthy foods that have these MUFAs and heart-healthy polyphenols that lower your LDL and raise your beneficial HDL. The three monovarietals from Spain, Picual, Picual. From Greece, Koroneki, Koroneiki. And from Italy, Moriolo, Moraiolo, from Umbria. These three, Picual, Koroneki, and Moriolo, they have the highest levels of polyphenols. So if you're looking for the best from a polyphenol perspective, and that best also means that they're going to be tastiest, all right? You can get the Spanish, or Greek, or Italian olive oil. Look for the fact that they're made with Picual, Koroneki, or Moriolo olives, all right? They pack the strongest health punch, all right? Every olive oil has their own distinct flavors, so try different ones and see which ones actually fit with you, your own taste buds. If you're going to buy extra virgin olive oils, please store it in a cool, dark place. Do not put it in the fridge, all right? And don't put it near a hot spot in a window, all right? One last myth that I want to bust in this video is that a lot of people think that you should not cook with extra virgin olive oil because it's got a low smoke point. Okay, that's a little bit of a myth because the smoke point of olive oil is anywhere from 375 degrees Fahrenheit to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about the same smoke point as duck fat, which is 375 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. And in France, guess what? They fry French fries in duck fat. So I'm not telling you to make French fries with extra virgin olive oil. I'm just telling you that it's okay to cook, especially sauteing or pan-searing foods, totally fine. Now, obviously, I'm not encouraging you to fry your foods, but just know that when you cook with extra virgin olive oil, you're actually going to impart some of those beneficial polyphenols from the olive oil into the food that you're ultimately going to eat. All right? Okay, we talked about a lot of stuff in this video. Hope you learned something new. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.
Hi there. If you enjoyed watching this video, I know you'll love the next one. Stay here and check it out, and I'll see you there.